Okay, this is going to explain how to do problems like number 1, where you are given the roots and you are asked to name the factors. So I know these are roots because it says x equals, and what we're going to do is write these as factors. So I'm going to show you how to do it algebraically, but then also I'm going to talk about how you could do a shortcut. And that's up to you which one you do, but I want you to understand that you can do it either way. So really what's happening is this is already solved. We are working backwards. So instead of looking for what x equals, we know what it equals. We want to know the factor that it came from. So really what we're doing is making this side equal 0. We're trying to find what factor gave us x equals 2, and we're trying to make it equal 0. So in order to do that, we need to move the 2 to the other side. And the reason I'm subtracting it is because that gives me the 0 I want. And what I do to one side, I do to the other side. So x minus 2. That is the factor, x minus 2. So there's one factor. So I'm going to list them down here. I've got x minus 2. Typically, we put them in parentheses like that. The next one's a little trickier because it has a fraction. You cannot just do x minus 4/5. You actually have to manipulate it algebraically a little bit. So I'm going to show you how to do that, and then we can talk about a shortcut. So I've got x equals 4/5, but again, I'm trying to make the right side equal 0 and move everything to the left. So I'm going to undo what's here. So I'm dividing by 5. So to undo division, I'm going to multiply by 5. So 5 times x is 5x equals 4. And I still want to make it equal 0. I need to get back to that initial factor. So I'm going to move the 4 to the other side. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other. And now this is the original factor, 5x minus 4. Okay, the next one again is a little bit different. I have x equals 0. Well, there's nothing to move because x already equals 0. So this is a factor in and of itself. The only thing that's maybe a little bit different is that typically we put it in the front because otherwise it gets lost with kind of all the other factors. Okay, and then the last one, x equals negative 11, you can kind of see this if you didn't notice, this kind of pattern going on. Whatever your root is, the factor has the opposite sign. So this was 2. My factor that it came from is x minus 2. My factor or root here is 4/5. The factor it came from is 5x minus 4. So I can just switch the sign here. So notice when I'm writing a factor, there is no more equal sign, and I'm switching the sign. So some people also like to do a shortcut for the ones with the fractions because that kind of takes a long time and that might be confusing to you. So what they do is memorize the denominator goes in the front. So the 5 went out front with the x, and then the numerator comes after with a different sign. So if that's helpful to you, then memorize the rule. Otherwise, you can do it algebraically.